Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Run in the Paint recap. Today is Thursday, October 24th, currently 1:10 in the morning. I'm Miles here with Jackson. Jackson, how are you doing today?
Pretty tired. Long day, but we made it. Recap.
Yes, we did make it. And today, I was talking about it a little bit in yesterday's recap how when the NBA season starts, Tuesday is obviously great. You get the two games, you get the championship, you get their rings. But the Wednesday, when you get the 10 game slate of all the other teams playing, this really feels like the first crazy day of the season. And there were definitely some crazy games for us to talk about here. 10 games, we're going to talk about all of them in some capacity. A lot of these we watched more than some others, but we are going to talk about all these teams. So if your favorite team does not get talked about today, don't worry. They'll come up again later on. It's a very long season, just one game through. Before we get started, leave a like on the video if you enjoy. This is going to be a lot of fun going through all these games. I guess we'll go in order of when they happen. So starting with the first game of the night, it was the Pacers defeating the Pistons in Detroit 115 to 109, a come from behind victory for the Pacers, and it was really an all-around performance for them. They got great games from Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, Benedict Mathurin off the bench played very well. Tyrese Halliburton came up huge at the end. But to start the game, the Pistons looked very solid, especially defensively.
Yeah, you could definitely tell JB Bickerstaff is kind of making his presence felt right away in there. We saw Jalen at least I watched it, and I saw Jalen Duran picking up on the perimeter like a couple times. He looked really good out there, and Cade looked good on defense. Jane Ivey looked good. I can't wait to see Sar Thompson starting line. They're gonna be ridiculous.
Yeah, they definitely look a lot more improved. They were really impressive in the preseason with the added additions of the three-point shooters Hardaway, Beasley, Tobias Harris. Hardaway came out on fire, nailed 2 threes in a row to start the game. The Pistons
Yeah.
the Pistons started very well, and it was a great atmosphere to start. I mean, for a team that had a historically bad season last year, the fans were going crazy for the start of this one. They were excited for this. They were going crazy over these plays, and all their main guys did play well. Jalen Duren had 13 points, 13 boards, 4 assists. Ivy had a good second half finish with 17, and Cade Cunningham also looked really, really good. 28 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. And their big thing over last season was the defense. I mean, offensively, they were brutal because of the lack of three-point shooting, but defensively, they were terrible. And we kind of mentioned the individual players, but as a collective, I thought to start, they did a great job of kind of rushing the Pacers and not allowing them to get comfortable. Or maybe not even rushing them, slowing them down, which kind of throws the Pacers off. Yeah, it's the opposite of what the Pacers want to do. They want to run up and down the floor, but they had a bunch of turnovers, 15 in the game. They had like 6 or 7 in the first quarter.
Yeah, I think definitely just watching at least what I watched. I didn't watch a lot of it. I watched, like pretty much only the first like half of the first quarter. And it looked like Detroit just came out with comp, which is something they didn't do last year. Play with confidence. But this year, I mean, Cade looked like the leader, and everyone kind of followed suit.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham, 20 points, 20 of the 28 points in the fourth quarter. He was taking over. He was trying to do everything to get the Pistons this first victory. But the Pacers, this team that went deep into the playoffs last year, their guys made plays down the stretch. Whether it was a Benedict Mathurin 3, even though he was injured for the playoffs last year, he's looked great. He's going to be a low-key 6-man of the year candidate because he can just do so much on the floor coming off that bench. Pascal Siakam had some clutch buckets, had a monster dunk, and then Tyrese Halliburton, who couldn't throw the ball into the ocean through the first 3 quarters. He was 0 for 8 from 3 until 30 seconds left. He hits the dagger to put the Pacers up 6, and they end up winning the game. So good first win for the Pacers, because it would not have been a great start losing to the team that had the worst record in the league last year. So good for the Pacers to get that victory. Pistons definitely looked good. Excited to see what they can do moving forward. Let's go through. We got a lot of games to get to, so we'll move right on to the next one, which was the Cleveland Cavaliers, the new look Cavs as far as their new head coach Kenny Atkinson, going up north to Toronto and blowing out the Raptors by 30, 136 to 106. And everybody, for the most part, played well for the Cavaliers, but the real star was Evan Mobley. He looked incredible, looked like a whole different player than we've seen the first few years of his career, mainly with the aggression. I mean, only in, I believe, 26 minutes of play, 25 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, was making all the right plays. Donovan Mitchell did his thing. Jarrett Allen was great defensively as well. I'm trying to find the numbers, but I believe Mobley and Allen combined for something like 7 or 8 blocks in the game. They were just sensational.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's what you want to see if you're a Cavs fan. I know you. You're probably over here happy as a
I'm definitely excited. Now I got the numbers here. So Mobley, 3 blocks, 2 steals. Jarrett Allen, 4 blocks, 14.7 rebounds. Even Donovan Mitchell had 3 steals. And then the bench looked awesome too. Karis LeVert had 19 points in 20 minutes, and he was 8 for 9 from the field. He made his first 8 shots. Ty Jerome, good to see him. Didn't get to see him a whole lot last season. Came in, had 14 points and 6 assists in 19 minutes. He was 6 for 7 from the field. Cavs just had an immaculate performance, and I should preface this. I said this yesterday as well. For all these teams, it is their first game, so it is easy to overreact a little bit. It is obviously going to be a long season. Definitely not expecting the Cavs to be putting up 136 a game on 59, 47 from 3 shooting splits. But for a game going up against a Toronto Raptors team who has made it clear that they are rebuilding, this was a game that you needed to go in and steal. And this was a very professional victory to start the season on both ends of the floor. And for the Raptors, they came into this game without R.J. Barrett. But even for a rebuilding team, a little alarming how bad their starters played, specifically Scotty Barnes, being their franchise guy, only having 9 points on 3 for 14 shooting. 6 boards and 5 assists were cool, but they're going to have to play a lot better. Emmanuel quickly goes out due to injury with this game. Hope he's okay. It was a little bit of a scary fall right on his back. But yeah, hope that he's okay. But I mean, the Raptors, this isn't a huge season for them competing and all that. If you're looking for bright spots for the Raptors, Grady Dick in that starting shooting guard position, he's going to put up some numbers, at least scoring-wise, this season. He had 16 points, 5 of 13 from the field. And their rookie, I believe a second-round pick, Jamal Shed, 10 points and 4 assists. He looked good in the preseason. A defensive pest, you could say, at that point guard position. So that's someone that Darko Rajakovic is definitely going to look to be playing in his rotation along with Davion Mitchell. They're both really similar players. But great start to the season for the Cavaliers in their first game. I don't think they could have really asked for a better start. So, yeah, definitely happy for the Cavs to get that first victory. Moving on to the next game. The Milwaukee Bucks going to Philadelphia. This is the first ESPN game. And injuries definitely a factor in this one. The Sixers without Paul George, without Joel Embiid, the Bucks without Chris Middleton. But Damian Lillard, man. Damian Lillard in the third quarter killed it. Dame time and Giannis played fantastic. They defeated the Sixers 124 to 109. And Dame and Giannis, you see the numbers there. 30 points, 9 boards, 6 assists for Lillard, 25 points, 14 boards, 7 assists for Giannis. And it was fantastic. Then the 124 points is very impressive considering that in the first quarter, it was definitely a defensive battle. Neither of these teams really could get it going. I think the score was like 22 to 21 after the first quarter, which means the Bucks scored 102 points in the final 3 quarters.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, one thing I saw, obviously, I said it was, I didn't watch the game, but I saw the box score. You started Maxey was 10 for 31. That's not ideal.
Yeah, I mean, it shows you, without George and Embiid now, Tyrese Maxey is their main, offense, just like it was last season when Embiid was injured, and at least they had Tobias Harris then. Of course, I mean, Paul George, he will come back. Joel Embiid, it's been known that he's going to miss a decent amount of games this season to try to
Probably the
rest him up for the playoffs. The NBA is actually going to investigate that. It came out yesterday. They're going to investigate the player participation policy on Joel Embiid. But yeah, Tyrese Maxey taking 31 shots in this game. I mean, they needed to. You hope that he makes more going forward. I mean, 10 for 31 is definitely not an ideal percentage. Kelly Oubre had 21 points. Gershon Yabusele, Joey's boy, in his first game back in the NBA, 10 points. 4 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals. Drummond had 13 rebounds. I mean, the Sixers, their role players, they played, well. I mean, decent. This is obviously, these are not the roles that they're going to be playing going forward. But on the Bucks side of things, they just looked really good after, again, that bit of a sloppy first quarter. Brook Lopez defensively, he didn't shoot the ball well. He didn't have a very good offensive game, but he definitely stuffed the stat sheet. He had 10 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 6 blocks, which is very good for Brook Lopez. 6 rejections in the game. He's been the leader in like contests per game over the last few seasons, and he did it again with 6 blocks in this game. Giannis stuffed the stat sheet, but Dame time really occurred in the third quarter, where he had 15 of his 30 points, 4 for 4 from 3, and some of them were deep Dame Dalla shots that we've all grown accustomed to seeing.
I got him on fantasy, so I love to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Taurean Prince was 4 or 5 from 3, 6 or 7 from the field, 16 points in his Bucks debut. Bobby Portis, my pick for 6th man of the year, after one game looks pretty good. Had 16 points in 25 minutes. So yeah, just good performance by the Bucks. I mean, again, similar to the Cavs going into Toronto. I mean, this Bucks team has a lot of aspirations going into this season after, a kind of rough all-around season last year in year one with Dame and Giannis. So to come into this hostile environment in Philly for the first game without George and Embiid, this is a game you needed to win, and they got it done. So shout out to the Bucks for getting it done for sure. Now moving on to our next game, game number 4. This is a game that I didn't watch a whole lot of, Jack, so I know you didn't either because there were just so many other games going on. But it was a shocker to me. It was the Orlando Magic blowing out the Miami Heat 116-97. And this was really all because of a monster third quarter by Orlando where they outscored the Heat 39-18. The lead went from 4 to 28 in like 8 minutes in the third quarter, and that was absurd. The Magic really clamped up defensively and didn't allow the Heat to get comfortable whatsoever. I was talking with you about this, Jackson, when I looked at the box score of this game. During our podcast preview videos, one of our questions was, what player in the NBA has the most pressure, the most to prove? And some of us said Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler in this first game scores a whopping 3 points, only makes 1 shot. What was that, Jackson?
These are disappointment of the day.
Yeah, literally. 3 points, 4 boards, 5 assists. And to make it worse, Bam, who should be their first or second best player, also only had 1 made field goal, 9 points, 5 boards, 1 assist on 1 of 5 shooting. He just had 7 of 10 free throws. The Orlando Magic just did a masterclass on the defensive end. I mean, this Heat team has some offensive threats with Rozier, Hero, Butler, even some guys off the bench. So if you're the Orlando Magic, the fact that Nikola Jovic tied for the Heat lead in field goal attempts, that is a huge win. That is a huge win, and man, the Magic were just so impressive in this game. And I mean, it was their offense too. You know, they signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in the offseason for his three-point shooting, and he didn't make a three in this game, but the Magic still went 18 for 49 from three. They made 18 threes. Franz went 3 of 6 from three. Paolo 4 for 8. Gary Harris off the bench had 18 points, 6 of 9 from three, and that really helped out considering Jalen Suggs got in foul trouble really early. Picked up 3 fouls in the first 5 minutes. That's why he only played 12 minutes in this game. But man, Jackson, I know the Magic. They're one of your teams that you expect to do some big things this season. If they are playing that great defense and putting up these threes at this volume, I mean, it's going to be hard to beat this team.
Yeah. I think, yeah. And I think I had the Heat at 10 seed. Looking good. They're going to play like this.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it really was only the one quarter that did them in that third quarter. Because, Rozier, 19.6 boards, 5 assists. I mean, the box score just doesn't look that great because everything was kind of skewed because of that third quarter. I mean, it was a 19-point game, but again, the lead went from 4 to 28 in 8 minutes. It still is unbelievable that they were able to dominate that much. But so far, 4 games that we've gone over and 4 road victories from last night. A lot of road teams getting victories, and there will be some more that we get to a little bit later. But first, let's next go to the first home victory of the day, and it was the Atlanta Hawks defeating the Brooklyn Nets 120-116. And this was a bit of a funny game because I didn't watch that much of this game. I was kind of hopping in and out of this one. But when I hopped into this game on League Pass, it was third or fourth quarter, and I turn it on, and Dyson Daniels and Nick Claxton are having a scuffle in like the first row. I'm like, what is going on? Already the first game of the season. And Nick Claxton got ejected with a flagrant 2 foul. And then I look away, I look over and watch, some other games. Then I look back to my screen and I see like Cam Thomas and Onyeka Okongwu going at it on the court. I'm just, in a Nets-Hawks game, the first game of the season, like, what is going on?
It's a fight club.
Yeah, I guess it's a fight club there in Atlanta. But in all seriousness, talking about the basketball floor, the Nets played a very solid game. I mean, they were in this the whole way through. They were led by, of course, Cam Thomas. You knew he was going to put up a lot of shots. And he scored 36 points in this game, 20 of them in the fourth quarter, 7 for 13 from three, single-handedly brought them back in the game after they were down double digits. But it was not enough to take down the ridiculous duo of Trae Young, who did his thing normally, 30 points, 12 assists, 5 rebounds, 14 of 16 free throws, one of the best foul merchants in the game. But then his big fella off the bench, Onyeka Okongwu, with a career-high 28 points, also grabbed 8 rebounds on 11 for 12 from the field. That was incredible. If we have a role player of the night, he would have gotten it for sure.
Dude, maybe. There's another guy later now.
There might. Maybe. We'll have to wait until we find out there. Next game. Wait, what, Jackson?
We could do role player tonight.
We could potentially in the future. Make sure you do stay tuned for our MVP of the night. There are a lot of players to pick from all these great games tonight. We've already went through a bunch of them, so it was tough to figure out this one player. But we will get to that kind of at the end of this video. We'll do that at the end of all the recaps. Next game was one that I honestly did not watch at all. The Bulls-Pelicans game. The Pelicans defeated the Bulls 123-111 because Zion Williamson missed the game due to illness. Chicago's a team that, I don't know, that it's kind of a team that's just showcasing Zach LaVine and Nick Vucevic. So I'm going to catch those teams a little bit later with all the other games going on. But LaVine and Vucevic, they both played great. LaVine had 27, Vucevic had 21. So that was really good to see from Chicago. And for the Pelicans, a guy that they're showcasing in their own right, Brandon Ingram, he went off for 33 points. But the big story from this game is DeJounte Murray, who was having a very decent game in his first game with the Pelicans, despite not shooting the ball well, was still 2 rebounds shy of a triple-double. But in the fourth quarter, he was fouled on a three-pointer and landed weird on his left hand, and it came out after the game that it is a fractured left hand. So tough news for the Pelicans. The injuries already starting from day one.
Yeah. And for a team that has Zion Williamson also, you hate to see the guy who was supposed to be security blanket if Zion were to go down, won't get into as well.
Yeah, definitely not the best, but Pelicans get the victory there against Chicago. Again, Pelicans, I'm a huge fan of the Pelicans, so there will definitely be some games I'll be watching of theirs later when hopefully they can get Zion back. Next game, here we go. We got to get to this game. The Houston Rockets and the Charlotte Hornets. I know you can cover your ears for this one, Goglin. After the Rockets played a great first half, decent third quarter, it was the Hornets bench for the most part that led the comeback and stunned the Rockets at home 115-110. And it was led by the bench of the Hornets, but also LaMelo Ball, who was unbelievable. 34 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists on a very efficient 10 for 20 from the field, hit 4 threes, got to the line 10 times, made them all. Trey Mann was great off the bench, 24.6 boards. He was efficient. The whole Hornets bench was good. But Jackson, you're the big Rockets fan. You watched this whole game, so we got to give you the floor. What were your thoughts from this game?
So painful. Like the first 2.5 quarters was great. They played with great pace. They played, like I said, game of the year, I was like, I want them to play with like the incorporated fast and slow pace offense. And they did it to perfection in the first 2 quarters. And then after half, like last year, every game last year, just crumbled. And they lost.
Why do you think it did crumble?
They slowed the pace down.
Yeah.
Like even the announcer, like yeah, they're playing too slow now. If they're slowing it back up to what it was before.
Yeah, and even when the bits and pieces that I got to see of this game, it was kind of the same offensive possessions. It was either dump it into Şengün in the post, pick and roll with Jalen or Fred with Şengün, and that was essentially it. And that's what you see in the box score with the shot attempts. Jalen Green goes 9 for 23 from the field. He took 15 threes, made 5 of them. Fred VanVleet had a bad game shooting, 4 for 18 from the field, 2 of 11 from 3. The starting backcourt shot 26 threes. I don't know how I feel about that for this Rockets team.
Yeah, let Jabari shoot. Not even saying
Jabari
that.
Smith, yeah.
Jabari is one of my favorite players in the league, and they don't use him right.
Yeah, Jabari Smith only got 7 shots in 33 minutes, 2 for 5 from 3. But, I mean, we do have to talk about, in this loss, Şengün looked awesome. 25 points, 18 boards, 5 assists. He looked amazing. Sharpshooter Şengün.
Every time he pulled up for 3, I was like, oh my gosh, he's left making it. He was the most confident I was. Or the person I was most confident in shooting. Him and obviously Jabari. Every time Jalen or Fred covering my eyes.
Well, and that definitely was a lot of them. Yeah, you think Green and VanVleet, they accounted for 26 of their 43 three-point attempts. But, I mean, the Rockets in this game, I mean, even in the end, they were still super close with it. But it really was the Charlotte Hornets' second unit that played very, very well. Unfortunately, Brandon Miller goes out with injury, so he only has 6 points. Miles Bridges, 10 points, 9 boards. But off the bench, it was Trey Mann, like I said, hitting 4 threes, 8 of 16 from the field. he played very well for them after being traded from OKC at the deadline. Shows it again here, wearing the throwback baggy shorts.
He basically cosplayed as Iverson, who played like it. It was actually nice to watch, even though it was
Yeah, it was definitely crazy. And even Seth Curry played well. Grant Williams ended up hitting the go-ahead game-winning three-point shot from the top of the key. But then in the final minutes, after Grant Williams hits a three, Şengün throws a behind-the-back pass turnover. It was just a bad play. He'll learn from that. He is still a young player. You can't be doing that in clutch situations.
He better learn from
that. But after that, the Hornets got the ball back. Trey Mann missed a runner, and then they gave up an offensive rebound, and that was really the game right there. Yeah, so but for the Hornets, a huge first win for them. I mean, this was a game that both of us, I mean, obviously as a Rockets fan, but for me, I circled this game on the schedule for the day because these two young up-and-coming teams, I was super excited to see how they were both going to play. And the Hornets, they did start out slow, but you can kind of see the influence that Charles Lee has brought to them from the Boston Celtics with the defensive intensity, because they forced the Rockets into some difficult plays as well.
Yeah, I can agree more. Let's move on to the next game.
Coughlin does not want to talk more about the Rockets. I mean, and again, this is only game one, but this, I mean, for it being the first game for all these teams, it is definitely huge, especially for two teams that are looking to get into the postseason that haven't really sniffed it in a long time. So now moving on to the three late games. Let's go to another super close one. The Memphis Grizzlies and Utah Jazz in Salt Lake City. This was a super fun game. I mean, Utah, it always has a fantastic atmosphere. But it was the Grizzlies surviving with the victory. And while Ja Morant and Desmond Bane both, did their thing, their first game back, after being injured for a lot of last season, the two, I guess, big stars of the game, you could say, were Santi Aldama with 27 points, and even Jay Huff off the bench. He's been on two-way contracts his whole career. He had 13 points and 5 boards with 2 blocks and nailed 3 threes. I mean, the Grizzlies, this was a huge team win for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Jazz also tonight one of my favorite in the league. Because they're fun to watch. Really fun to watch. I think Lowry is their best player. Underrated. Really good. He shot a lot of free. This was a free throw. I'm not gonna lie. The Jazz shot 45 free throws, and which is egregious. And the Grizzlies shot 32. So the rest definitely tonight, but it was still a game to watch. I think it was surprisingly good. I think it might have been game of the night. Just in terms of atmosphere and everything, because Utah Jazz made it so much better.
Yeah, I won't say best game of the night. We'll go to one later. But this was definitely up there for one of the best atmospheres of the night, because Utah is just so great, with their fans. But yeah, I mean, they just have fun players. Like Lauri Markkanen is so efficient as a basketball player at all levels of the floor. His improvement has been incredible. He had 35 points here on opening night, 9 rebounds. Keontae George, second-year player, didn't shoot the ball well from the field, from 3 or the free throw line, but I love that over, last season and looking like it again this season, the Jazz are okay with all right, we're going to throw you the reins, we're going to throw you the keys, and just don't be afraid to make mistakes, That's basically what they've been doing with Keontae George, and he did it here. And I thought he still found ways to impact the game, even though he had a horrific game shooting.
He had some great passes. Beginning of the third quarter, he had threw Lauri Markkanen a lob from dang near center court, mid-court, and it was perfect, like a perfect pass. And I think he was just setting everyone else up, even if it was even if it wasn't leading to an assist, it was like a pass that led to another pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like hockey assists, you could say. He definitely played very well. And they had other guys that played well. I mean, Clarkson and John Collins off the bench played well. But, I mean, the standout role player for Utah was definitely Walker Kessler with 16 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks. He looked great. I mean, his rookie season, he was one of the best shot blockers in the league. Looked great. Last season was definitely more up and down due to, nagging injuries. But this year, coming in healthy, he looked like a beast in this first game, and it is right. I mean, we didn't really mention it all with Şengün as well, going up against a Hornets team that didn't have the bigs. It was kind of the same thing with the Grizzlies going in. No Jaren Jackson for this one. Zach Edey started. He fouled out in his first game. He really didn't play that well. But going up against Zach Edey, Brandon Clark, and Jay Huff, you should play pretty well, and that's what Walker Kessler did in this game with the block shot. So good for him to get off to a very good start, and for the Grizzlies to get this victory in this playoff atmosphere type game.
Yeah. Very surprising.
Yeah, definitely the surprise game of the night as far as competitive, because I thought the Grizzlies were going to come away with this one, but in a blowout, but definitely good to see a close game there. Now 2 more games to go. This one kind of definitely the opposite of that one, a 35-point win for the Golden State Warriors in Portland against the Trailblazers. The Blazers got off to a really good start, actually. They led 10-3, I believe. Maybe it was 12-3 to start. Then the Warriors just dominated the rest of the game. I mean, everyone played super well. I really didn't have my eyes too much on this game. I mean, Steph Curry was 1 board from a triple-double. He really didn't have to do a whole lot, shooting the ball. Buddy Buckets with 22 points in 14 minutes off the bench. He was lighting it up. Andrew Wiggins looked good. He had 20 points. Everyone just looked good. And I know it's against the Portland Trailblazers, so, take what you can only take so much. But we were kind of high-ish on the Portland Trailblazers as being a decent team. After one game, both of us who had the Warriors pretty low in our standings predictions, definitely that was a reach for a reason. Not looking the best right now.
Yeah, they're called hot takes for a reason.
Yeah, can't hit them all, but yeah, for Jackson, you need one bad take every few.
Yeah, because every other take is perfect.
But now the final game of the night that went to overtime, the first overtime game of the season, the debut of the beautiful new Intuit Dome, where the LA Clippers hosted the Phoenix Suns, and it took 5 extra minutes. Great game, but the Suns pulled it out 116-113. In a game that really had it all. It had clutch shots, it had star power, crazy shot making. It was just a really fun game. It was back and forth. To start, the Suns were on fire from 3. They had 10 threes in the first half, and they had built up a double-digit lead in the first half, but in the third quarter, the Clippers picked up their pace, they picked up their defense, and James Harden went off. He had 16 of his 28 points in the third quarter alone, or 16 of his 29 points in the third quarter. And the Clippers actually led this game by 10 with like 4 or 5 minutes to go. But the Suns, led by Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, came back, forced this game into overtime, thanks to a crazy one-legged fadeaway from Durant. That was absurd. Then James Harden missed a runner at the end at the buzzer. Then in overtime, Suns got off to a good start. They got to the free throw line a whole lot. And then at the end, there were like 10 seconds left in overtime. James Harden drove to the basket, drew a foul with a chance to tie the game, but he missed the second free throw. And that was basically the game right there. Suns were able to hold on for the victory. Jackson, what were some of your thoughts from catching this game here?
I mean, the Suns definitely looked out of sorts. I mean, you can kind of expect because they had a lot of turnover in this offseason. They had new coach, new starting point guard coming in. Beal, Booker, and Grant haven't necessarily played a lot altogether. So, with all that being said, I think them coming to Denver is huge for them. I still think they're going to be the 2 seed this year. Really do. I think when Booker, Beal, and Durant are all kind of gelling and playing together with Tyus Jones, with Nurkic, and then with that, they have a really good bench unit. I think they're going to represent the West or the Western Conference in the finals too. My opinion is not.
Yeah, that's definitely Jackson's hot take, especially in the Western Conference. But no, you're right. Going off that, I mean, them coming out with the win here is definitely huge. Also, for the fact that last year the main story with the Suns was that they were like the worst fourth quarter team or the worst clutch team in like NBA history, which makes no sense when you have all this star power. Tonight they were able to figure it out when they needed to because they were down 10 points with 5 minutes to go and they were able to come back because Devin Booker was able to knock down some shots. He ended up fouling out, but Durant, Beal, they played well. And I think more importantly, they came up with defensive stops when they needed to as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think they just played an all-around clean fourth quarter, clean overtime, and they came out and got the win.
Yeah, big win for the Suns. Shout out to the Intuit Dome, the first game. That was incredible. That atmosphere was awesome. It really did feel like a college atmosphere. The wall behind the basket felt like a student section. It was crazy. I cannot imagine what it would be like to play in that arena. But for the Clippers, without Kawhi Leonard being there, of course, there's a whole lot of expectations that the Clippers are going to fall a lot in the standings. But they kind of played how I at least projected them to play, how they're going to play super hard on both ends of the floor. But I mean, in this game, they just didn't really have the closers to finish it out, even though Harden did have a good game. I was really happy with the way James Harden played. I mean, 29 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, aggressive, 28 shot attempts. This is what I like to see from James Harden. I like it when he's taking a whole bunch of shots because he needed to. Zubac's played a very good game, 21, 9, and 3. He's going to be their second option, which is going to be interesting to see how that turns out. But all around, a great night of basketball here on the first full slate of games. Now, let's get into our player of the night. Now, last night, it was Anthony Davis, or Tuesday, it was Anthony Davis. That was very close between Anthony Davis and Jason Tatum, but it was really just those two guys up on the leaderboard. Last night, there were a ton of guys that were up for this, but in the end, we unfortunately had to give it to LaMelo Ball for his performance against the Houston Rockets. Again, you see the numbers there. He was just fantastic. His fourth quarter was huge in that Hornets comeback in Houston. So congratulations to LaMelo Ball. Again, we're going to be keeping track of all these winners. Jackson's shaking his head, but it's good to see LaMelo back on the floor too, because he's been a very injury prone player. I mean, LaMelo, he just looked awesome.
Yeah, he looked great. I know.
Oh, Jackson just wants to be done with this and go to the next game. Oh, poor LaMelo Ball, but poor Houston Rockets fans. Even though they played a good game, just couldn't come out with the victory. But before we get out of here, let's take a quick look at tonight's slate of games. Only 4 games going on tonight, but definitely some decent ones going on. First, we'll take a look at the national games on TNT tonight. First up, 7:30. It is the Texas Showdown with the San Antonio Spurs, the second year of Victor Wembanyama, starting off tonight when they visit the Western Conference champion Dallas Mavericks, who, of course, now have Klay Thompson playing in his first game not in a Golden State Warriors uniform, so that is definitely going to be weird to see that officially start. Nevertheless, can't wait to see how both of those teams play. Yeah, it really is crazy. But then the nightcap, the game that I have been looking forward to the most is the battle between the two best teams in the Western Conference, the OKC Thunder and the Denver Nuggets. Again, that's at 10 p.m. on TNT tonight. No, the Thunder will be without Isaiah Hartenstein, but besides that, both teams are going to be fully healthy for that matchup. So that is going to be incredible to see those two teams battle it out.
Jokic is gonna have full course meal being guarded by Chad.
Full course meal against Chet Holmgren.
That boy's gonna eat.
That's definitely a possibility. And then on NBA League Pass, only 2 games on League Pass. We've got the Celtics visiting the Wizards first game of the season, and then the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Sacramento Kings at 10 p.m. for DeMar DeRozan's Kings debut. So that's definitely going to be an interesting one to watch, with the Timberwolves looking to bounce back after their opening night loss to the Lakers.
So excited for Wizards basketball. It's not even funny.
You're like the only Wizards fan out here, dude.
No, I know someone else who's a Wizards fan.
Really? Well, shout out to all Wizards fans. I guess. Well, I mean, I guess Rockets and Wizards fans can stick together during certain. Well, yeah, Jackson's throwing up the thumbs up. He knows it. But that is it for the recap. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts on all these games, who your player of the night is, and maybe an early overreaction for some of these games, some of these players, some of these teams. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next one.